bias has become a bad word. When someone wants you to trust them, they're often gonna say, oh, don't worry, I'm completely unbiased. Or, oh, don't worry, I'm staying neutral on this issue. But is that always correct? And most importantly, is that always good? So I have a master in journalism, and one thing that was asked of us during my master was to be neutral when doing anything journalistic. But I would argue that journalistic neutrality doesn't actually exist at all. And what's really important, especially when looking at journalistic works, is to understand what are the biases of what I'm reading or what I'm watching. Because the journalist whose work you are watching has biases, even in the choice of the facts that they choose to bring up. You can say a lot by presenting facts and not overtly giving your opinion, because you can easily make facts speak for themselves depending on the facts that you choose. And on top of this, oftentimes when a journalist, for example, says that they are neutral, what they mean is that they take a centrist position. And both terms can be interchangeable in a lot of situations, but I would argue that they are not desirable, depending on what you're talking about. And to illustrate this, I'm gonna give you an example. So imagine it's the 1980s and there's the AIDS epidemic, and you have a journalist on TV who's very neutrally presenting the facts of the case. So on one hand, you have doctors and scientists saying that we need to help people because being gay isn't bad, but this is a disease and it needs to be eradicated. And on the other hand, you have the Reaganites and you have religious people who are saying like, no, being gay is immoral and they basically deserve it. Would you want the journalist to equate both those views? Probably not. I mean, there's one view saying that being gay is natural. That's factually correct. We know this now. And there's another view that's basically just based on feelings, like the religious people who said that being gay is unnatural, and if we allowed gay marriage to happen, then next people are gonna marry with animals, and that gay people are just teaching this stuff in schools to be able to diddle kids and to abuse your kids. These people were not operating on a factual basis. We know this now. But at the time, a neutral position would have been to say like, well, there's people who think this and people who think that. But that's a real centrist position. And if I say centrist, you might see where I'm going with this. Neutrality is just the absence of any strong feelings about an issue. And centrism is just the middle of whatever the political thought, the political spectrum is at any given time. But I don't know about you, but I want to know what's true, not what's neutral. And sometimes there's not enough facts to know who is right in a debate. So a neutral position is warranted, but other times it's not. Sometimes people say, well, there's scientists who say they've done studies on these issues, but you know, there's other people who say that can't be true because they don't believe them. So, you know, who might be right? I don't know. But I don't accept that. Sometimes neutrality isn't needed. What's needed is transparency with your bias. Because again, I can choose to present facts in a way that make my opinion heard, even though I'm not giving an overt opinion. Because I am biased. Because everyone is biased. Every journalist you've ever read ever is biased. The real question you should be asking yourself is, were they transparent with your bias? Because what you want is not unbiased journalism. What you want is journalism that is overt with its biases, but that also presents information in a factual manner. And that doesn't, that's the most important part, journalism that doesn't bombard you with what to think. Journalism that lets you think for yourself. And you might notice that what I'm saying about journalism can be applied for basically anything that concerns content creation, and really anything that concerns philosophical thoughts or knowledge. And so to summarize, sometimes what you need is not a neutral point of view, because the world is a complicated place and you need to know if someone is objectively in the wrong in a situation. You need to know if studies have been done to show that something is more likely to be true. And you need to know if in a debate, when there's one side saying one thing and the other saying another thing, you need to know if one side has better, more substantiated opinions than the other. And so once you're focused on finding out what the bias is for any people that you listen to, there's a really simple method that you can do to better be able to understand what's right and what's wrong. And I talk about it in this video, so if this interests you, don't hesitate to watch it. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to drop a like, and I'll see you later.